what is happening.
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
I can't wait.
Being shocked only 38 seconds into Wake Up Mid-Missouri on a feel-good Friday.
I take one day off, and look what happens.
Talking about punching down on little people.
That's typically what happens, Stephanie.
I know.
What happens.
Yeah.
Welcome. Feel-good Friday edition. Let's start here. We're going to get into the Trump stuff. More indictments. Timing is obviously curious on that. The end is near for him again. What prisoners in Fulton are complaining about. Earlier this week, Mitch McConnell froze up, my goodness, Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein said, "Here, hold my glass of Ensure and watch this." We have the audio of what happened with Dianne Feinstein yesterday, and we found something that 86 U.S. senators agreed on yesterday. We're covering that this morning here on the show. Steph is back. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Houseworth.
Good morning, all.
Producer Hannah. Marsh is
Hello.
here.
Sorry. Missed the button.
My name is Branden.
Me too.
Phone number. And I'm kind of excited about this, actually. You know, we're always talking about these new listeners, especially the younger folks that are tuning in to Wake Up Mid-Missouri. And we had this dude the other day texted, brand new listeners, name's Joshua. And we're like, why is it that you're now listening to, you know, a conservative news talk station? He said, well, I got tired of trying to find the truth. And we're like, dude, can we call you? Like, 6:45 this morning and find out? And so he's going to be joining us. Just good. Yeah, just kind of interesting to see what it is that makes you get to that point in life like, I got to figure out what's going on because I'm looking at my retirement and all this stuff. Things are going crazy.
And people, you can think for yourselves. Isn't that the truth?
Brian, winner of the week.
Yeah, I mean, you can think for yourselves and you make your own determination. But it is important to get all the information and then make your own determination.
And you may not agree with what we say,
that's right.
But that's cool, man. You know, we're all just hanging out. So he's going to be joining us 6:45 this morning here on the show.
Right.
Before we get into the Trump stuff, the heat, it's a real thing, man. Up to 103 today. I had to laugh yesterday. It felt hotter here than it felt in Phoenix. And you might think, it's just heat. That's what happens in the summer, and I agree with that. But it's getting to the point, for example, you have some pretty big events in mid-Missouri this weekend. So now you start to talk financial impacts because we've got the big sporting events coming up. Folks saying, screw it, man. It's 112 degrees with the heat index. I'm not going out and I'm not spending money So there's some implications here.
There's huge financial implications on this, Brandon. Not to mention we have elderly people and special needs folks, pets as well. But you've got the Show Me State Games final weekend in Columbia's this weekend. You've got this Disc Golf Pro Tour that's going on, and I wasn't aware of that. The other thing is Midway Golf and Games is having their big thing with Eli Drinkwitz all day tomorrow, and that could impact some of the crowd. And you've got the Mawkins City Championship going on. So all these huge events going on in Columbia, and the officials, everybody, they're going to have to stay hydrated. There's also an outside chance of some severe weather in Columbia and Jeff City tomorrow as well. Probably not, but there's a chance of gusty winds, maybe some hail.
There's cooling centers, and of course, here's the thing that would get me from time to time is kind of a typical dude. Oh, nothing affects me, but there's been times I've been out and maybe overdoing it, and I start to get like, man, I'm sweating a little bit more than usual, or I feel a little nauseous, man. And when you get to feeling nauseous, that's something that
stay hydrated.
Yeah, you should pay attention.
And it's just relentless. I was up past my bedtime last night, and at 11:30 at night, my car said 97 degrees.
In the morning, so I get up at 2 o'clock, John. All week long, it's not been below 80 degrees. It's not been when I'm at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's 80. This morning it was 83 degrees. Wow. There are cooling centers available.
81 right now.
81 right now, and here's only 6:14 on a feel-good Friday. And some of the prisoners at Fulton there.
Go
so,
ahead. Yeah, I have some thoughts on that, actually.
Okay. So
you used to work at DOC.
I do.
So the Fulton Reception and Diagnostic Center, not the whole thing,
correct,
is AC. Now, something interesting, though, is because there are parts of the prison that do have AC, and I start to wonder, like some of the segregation units and then the infirmary. So that, I think, typically is what happens, and I don't know. I've never been in prison. I've done some one-night stints in county jails from Idaho to Montana to Florida, but I ain't never been in a prison. But the infirmary, so is what happens, John, is I guess these folks, they go, well, I'm going to do something so I get forced into segregation, or I'm going to feign injury or illness so that I can go into the infirmary where it's AC. You kind of know some of this stuff, having worked
I
for
would
DOC.
defer to the former DOC spokesman for the state of Missouri.
Yeah, it is, John and Brandon. It's a reception diagnostic center, so you have a couple hundred, general population inmates, but generally everybody over there is going to be gone in a couple of months because they'll get moved on. But there appears to be a disconnect. Erica McGuire really did a nice job on that on our news partner KMIZ, because she was talking to a girlfriend of inmate, or a couple girlfriends of the inmates that were in there that were saying different things that what Karen Poshman was saying. But the only thing I would say, and this, our listeners probably disagree with me a little bit, that's okay. I think it's a safety issue. I believe for the safety of not just the inmates but the staff, you need air conditioning in those prisons, and you don't. There are a variety of reasons. I don't want to get it. It's safer for everybody to get the air conditioning, and not only that, it's the right thing to do.
The cranky old white dude in me, Marsh, wants to say, well, prison, that's what you get. But there's liability issues to me as a taxpayer. Potentially somebody dies because they're in a prison and they didn't have proper cooling. Who's getting sued? Who's paying for it, John?
Well, then you get into the whole debate of, a potential federal lawsuit if something like this is deemed unconstitutional. Brian, Algoa Prison south of Jefferson City, I should say, is also unair conditioned, correct?
It is, and I don't know and they may have done a couple of their units, but that dates back to the 1930s. But the thing is, the process is so slow, John and Brandon. The state put money in there for air conditioning at the Fulton prison, and it's still not in there because it takes so long to do things.
Now, I'll say this. I bet the prison that Donald Trump ends up going to will have air conditioning. Gosh. Listen, more
and virtual golf.
And everything he wants, man. Can both be true? Yes, they continue to go after Trump. By the way, does the timing of the announcements yesterday, does this strike anybody as curious one day after the dramatic, stunning unfolding of events in the courtroom with Hunter Biden in the White House and how they're having to backtrack as they realize they're on to us? We're going to get caught. The timing of this announcement yesterday, curious. Beyond curious. It's crap.
You're not wearing your tinfoil hat. You need to put it back on. No, I totally agree. And I as you know, I do not practice criminal law, so this is not my area of expertise. I'm going to have to phone it into Jennifer. But, like, how often does somebody just randomly, like, amend and add charges to an existing... I mean, these facts were, I think, known to them at the time they filed the original indictment. And so, you know, it wouldn't have been a surprise had we seen one of these other 2 indictments that are hanging out there. There's the one, I think, in D.C., there's the Georgia thing. But this came as kind of a surprise. And maybe they just weren't ready to issue the new indictment, so they all talked to each other and they're like, hey, you got anything you can add to that old one?
Even going after the Mar-a-Lago chief of maintenance.
So apparently, new indictment stems from somebody pulled one of the IT guys and said, "Hey, can you delete some of this?" First, they
Allegedly
said,
Trump.
Allegedly, yeah. Hey, how long does this stuff stay on the server? And dude's, I don't know, like 45 days. Well, and then this conversation's just between me and you. All right. What can we do about it? Those are the allegations. And, of course, MSNBC, CNN, you know, you probably get tired of me playing, and Stephanie loves to tease me about for years, we heard this from 2015, from the day almost that Trump announced. We heard all these, the end is near, this is it, this will do Trump in. No, for real, this is it. And now it's the same thing with the Hunter Biden stuff. Last night, I mean, this is just really hours after the announcement of the indictments. 3 different networks here, CNN, MSNBC, and CBS.
That's probably the final nail in the coffin on this one.
It's such an important and dangerous moment.
As one said, the mother of all speaking indictments.
For real, John, this is it. This is it, Steph. This is the end of Trump. They've been saying it for 8 years, man. God. Welcome into the show. If there's something we can do for you, 874-9390. Dennis is one of the winners this week, is into action. They do some pretty cool work in mid-Missouri. Folks that get out of prison and wanting to make some changes. So a lot of folks, you know, we were talking about prisons and things like that. Whenever people get out of prison, you get a lot of folks say, man, I don't ever want to do that again. I do want to make some changes. Into Action is one of the organizations that helps facilitate that. Jen text, the heat is brutal this week. Walked into the shop this morning about 5:35, and it's already 88 degrees in here. We've been going through about 100 pounds of ice today to keep the cooler stocked with Gatorade and water. Everybody, please stay hydrated and stay safe out there. We hear you. Coming up, we are going to be doing your daily D.C. rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Trump and DeSantis finally in the same place at the same time.
Same building?
Same building.
Oh, man, I can't wait. This is coming up just a few minutes from now. 6:25, it's daily D.C.
country and give our country a new birth of freedom. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get it done.
It's Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who apparently him and Trump got to be like this close together, and that is getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell. And when I say this close, not in the polls, by the way, I should clarify.
Not that close at all. Trump, as you know, has declined many an invitation over the last several months. He is basically sitting quiet during a lot of these big events, did not show up in Iowa, basically when everybody else showed up. There's been some other events that he has declined, and he says right now he's not going to show up to the first debate. Meanwhile, he is going to come to Iowa, so here shortly. So he and DeSantis both are going to show up to the same location.
I'm wondering with the new indictments yesterday against Trump, and again, the timing, one day after what happened in the Biden White House, I think it's incredibly interesting. It will do nothing to Trump's polling. It will not increase his poll, in my opinion. It's not going to increase it, and it's not going to lower it either. There's people, the people are still on board with Trump. There's no budging there, I don't think.
Tonight's Lincoln Day dinner in Iowa, they expect 1,200 GOP members. And, of course, Iowa's a big state. So Trump is, so then I wonder if he changed his mind and he's showing up in Iowa now. Is he going to change his mind about that first debate? It's, less than a month away now. And they're saying Iowa primary. We keep talking about, there's so much time. Iowa primary is less than 6 months away.
And that first debate is just weeks away.
Yeah, so very exciting. Also, we talked a little bit. President Trump got additional charges yesterday. It was kind of a surprise. Everyone has talked about these new indictments, but this is amending the old indictment over the classified documents. They're talking not only about some surveillance footage, but also this document that apparently he showed off. And so those two things were added to the indictment. Also yesterday, the Senate is going on August recess. And yesterday they did pass a huge annual defense bill. It had a 5.2% raise for service members, and it was largely bipartisan. So votes in favor, 86.
Like 86 folks agreed on that. And seriously, today, that's beyond impressive, but it's national defense.
That really is. And I heard someone, a service member from Missouri, speak yesterday, actually, and was talking about recruiting and how hard the recruiting's been, especially since COVID. And I didn't really think about it, but she was saying, hey, when we do our recruiting, the place that we go is high schools. And during COVID, we couldn't go to the high schools. And so we're behind. And so, maybe a pay raise will help on some of those recruiting issues that our service branches are facing. Also, yesterday, we heard Kamala's comments about Florida's education and what, quote unquote, new curriculum. The Congressional Black Caucus, I'm sure Cori Bush is pushing this, but I haven't seen her name in particular in this article.
She yelled at somebody on the floor yesterday, said, your policies are racist. Well, one of the dudes who wrote the whole slavery curriculum, who happened to be head of civil rights boards and who helped write the curriculum, said, what did he say about Kamala Harris for comments earlier this week? He said, she is incorrect. He was incredibly polite. She was incorrect.
A very kind way to say that. But now this Congressional Black Caucus wants federal agencies to actually look at the Florida school districts and decide whether they're violating federal discrimination law. They say they want the DOJ to take an aggressive legal strategy against this new curriculum in Florida.
The Department of Justice, the other thing they're doing, and that's why it's easy to say progressives hate America. And you might think, that's just talk. But think about this for a second. I'm thinking the Department of Justice is suing Texas for those floating barriers in the Rio Grande River. Texas is trying to protect their state, in effect, trying to protect America against the fentanyl, the child trafficking, the human trafficking, all the problems that come with illegal immigration. The Department of Justice is suing Texas because Texas is, in effect, wanting to protect America.
Exactly.
I don't think I'm wrong, John. I mean, I might have to spin that really hard on a spin cycle for a while, but it sounds reasonable to me.
It does. I agree with you 100%. And yesterday, other exciting stuff, I guess, in Congress, they were going to hold Mark Zuckerberg in contempt, the Judiciary Committee, because he was not fully cooperating.
Let me guess, Republicans want to impeach him too.
Not quite, but that's about as much as they could do. So they were going to vote to hold him in contempt. They said shortly before the committee hearing, Jim Jordan made a statement and said, based on Facebook's newfound commitment to fully cooperate, the committee has decided to hold contempt in abeyance now. And abeyance isn't that they will never vote. It's just their president.
everything. It'd be a nice way to live, honestly. I mean, think about it. I tried to go to the Taylor Swift show. Everybody, it was sold out because people could afford tickets. That's working. That's a very Republican thing. Even the last segment, Bronny James, if there wasn't so much interest in the NBA, if people were watching the WNBA, that wouldn't be a problem. I mean, that's got to be Republicans' fault. I mean, I got wrecked my car. That's because I had money to afford a car, good economy. That's a Republican thing. I mean, you could go all day. That's
You've
a nice way
connected
to
the
live,
dots,
honestly.
John.
Guys, John B. Christ, comedian. I'm liking his stuff. Great stand-up comedian. Is even doing some stuff on Fox once in a while. He brings up a really good point, because obviously we know how progressives do, and frankly, we know how Republicans do to Democrats, and which I believe strongly Democrats cause most of these problems by creating issues. But he's saying, why not? If you're going to blame Republicans, blame them for the good stuff, too, when things are going well. Welcome to the show. Feel Good Friday edition of Wake Up Mid-Missouri. There's Stephanie Bell. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Producer Hannah is here.
Howdy ho.
There's Mr. Marsh.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you, 874-9390. We are doing Winners and Losers of the Week 2 hours from now, 8:35 every Friday. Hannah's even put a post on the Wake Up Facebook page.
Yeah, just asking if you have any nominees for Winners and Losers of the Week.
Anything else interesting on there this morning folks might want to check out?
I've already got What's Hot with Hannah posted if you want to go get a sneak peek.
That's coming up 7:25. What is that this morning?
Well, I can't give it away yet.
It's a sneak peek.
Yeah, come on, man. I got to have something to talk about at 7:25.
One of the things we got to do, I think, at 8:35 this morning is it's time for a lot of these politicians everywhere, really, to go.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell, people talk about Joe Biden. Mitch McConnell's the same age as Joe Biden. Trump is not far behind. Of course, the difference between Trump and Joe Biden is Trump has some mental faculties about himself. Joe Biden does not. And that's an incredibly dangerous thing that messes with you because you're an American. Mitch McConnell, of course, froze up the other day. And then Senator Dianne Feinstein, yesterday, committee hearing, being asked to vote. Check this out.
Till her staff had to cut her off and ask her to vote aye.
Senator Feinstein.
Say aye. Pardon me? Aye. Yeah.
So you hear an aide saying, she's leaning into her ear, Senator, just say aye. Just say this. That's all you have to do.
Give a thumbs up.
Just say. I would like to support a yes vote on this, and it funds priorities submitted.
So they're having to tell her again. Now a different aide comes up.
Oh, no.
Diane. And again.
That's worse than not being able to read a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Or tripping over a sandbag.
Yeah, and that vacant look, John, she's just kind of like, she doesn't, like, it was just like Mitch McConnell the other day. She doesn't, and it's like Biden. I swear to God, man, you look at these people, they do not know. They simply don't know what's going on.
Yeah, just say aye. Okay.
Another aide. Diane, just say aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you go. Good work, Senator Dianne Feinstein. And now we go and we applaud the work of a Texas congressman, a Democrat from Texas, and what he did. He's getting huge praise this morning.
Is he, though? Is he? Yeah, there was a state rep from Texas, and he was pushing for basically state-regulated water breaks for, like, factory workers and people who work in the heat. And he decided to do a thirst strike from the steps of the Texas State Capitol.
So we hear of hunger strikes all the time. People will go for weeks and weeks without eating, and which I always think is silly, by the way. Okay, don't eat. I don't care. I really don't. I have no, if you don't eat and die, okay, fine. But I've never heard of a thirst strike.
Yeah, he wasn't going to drink any water, and he didn't make it very long, in my opinion. It lasted a whopping 8 hours.
8 hours.
And to me, that's not a thirst strike. That's like a Tuesday. I don't know.
That's like the time period between when we go on the air at 5:30 this morning and 1:30 this afternoon when John and I sit down for lunch in Jeff City today. That's what that is. That's a Friday afternoon for me and Mars. 8 hours without water. Woo.
But maybe he's a beverage goblin, Hannah, and he has like 7 drinks before 8 a.m. like me.
Look, Stephanie's double fisting.
I usually have a third by now, but I'm running behind today. But I mean, 8 hours for me would be bad.
But they're up there, and there was as we say, and the crowd went wild. Like after he took his first drink after 8 hours, you would have thought this dude just got off the Space Shuttle Discovery, John. They're like playing music. He's getting like he's like, when we do our Central Missouri Honor Flight welcome homes, they do the red carpeting and the music and all the military and law enforcement. That's what it was like for this guy. You would have thought this guy invented sliced bread or something. That's how crazy how crazy.
I wouldn't have lasted a half hour without coffee there, Representative, but okay.
Yeah, pretty proud of their work there. I want to say, if we could interview this congressman this morning, I say, Congressman, 8 hours without water, how'd you do it? And are you going to write a book? Crazy. 874-9390, 874-9390 if you'd like to share what it is that you're feeling good about on a Feel Good Friday. We're going to try to highlight some of the Feel Good stories that are happening in the news this morning. One of the other things that we are doing, some budgeting tips, super easy, and it works. We'll do that at 7:10 right now, and I'm grateful for new listeners. We get them all the time, and wanted to bring one onto the show this morning, and I'm grateful for Hannah and Steph. Now, Hannah says, now, this is not a fishing expedition, is it?
I always have to laugh when you talk to new listeners because you ask them, why do you listen? What do you like about the show? And sometimes I fear that it sounds like we're fishing for compliments. Like, tell us how great you think we are.
and you're probably right. But that's not the intent. It's just kind of, okay, so what is it? Because we get people. I mean, you get it.
Content.
Yeah, it's what is it that you like or don't like?
Yeah, I heard 2 stories yesterday, but they now people started to tell my husband, and so they're like, and he was on the phone like on a work call, and they were like, "Oh, guys, I heard Stephanie this morning on there in front of his boss," and he's like,
So I want to bring in a guy his name is Joshua, and we just met him the other day via text, and we said, "Hey, man, welcome. What's up?" And he was texting about something, and so we said, "Hey, what's the name? What's the deal?" And he said, "Well, I'm a new listener." He says, "I just started listening to you guys a couple of weeks ago. I love all the up-to-date information." Joshua, welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri, man. Thanks for joining us. So tell us how good we are. I'm kidding. Let me ask you, how old are you, Joshua?
37.
37. So what were you listening to before?
I listened to a lot of 97 KCMQ. I listened to, Jack and Trevor over there. That's my morning routine.
Right.
And I got all of my news information from podcasts like Dan Bongino and Tim Pool and a couple other news organizations like Fox News. And I used to truck drive across the country, so I was always saving YouTube clips of what's going on in the world. And then I started a new job that doesn't allowed me to be on my phone while I'm driving. There's an app that doesn't allow me to do anything while the truck is moving. So I had to find another source so I could keep up to date with all what's going on. And then while listening to 96.7, they actually called 93.9 and had a short conversation. And I was like, what are they about? And then that's when I found 93.9 and started listening. And I was like, oh, good. Now I have basically information at my fingertips that I can listen to while I'm driving.
Well, how about that, man? And how had you listened to News Talk before? And I hate to say News Talk, we just talk, really. Had you listened to a station like this before?
No, actually. It was all music all the time, right. Mostly with a little tiny snippets of commercials of, this is what's going on.
This is new listener Joshua, new listener News Talk Radio, new listener Wake Up Mid-Missouri. We're not fishing for compliments, even though it probably sounds like it right now. I'm just trying to get in the mindset of somebody who decides to make the switch to intelligent radio.
And Joshua, you've probably heard me mention that Shags and I have what I like to call a frenemy thing going on, right? Like we love to give each other a hard time. So I already sent him a message saying, hey, we stole one of your listeners.
And he's and Shags has already, I think, nominated himself for winner of the week on our Facebook page this morning.
Good luck.
All right. So is it? Let me ask you this, Joshua, because here's the thing I get a lot is people that are new listeners to the show. They're like, your guys' show is not what I expected. People think it's like we're old white guys complaining about Democrats for 3 hours every morning, and there is a little bit of that, but that's not what we do. Kind of our goal is to explain, okay, these things are happening. Here's how it's going to impact you. Did listening to a news talk radio show, did it match up with what your expectations were before you listened?
For the most part, it used to be I was very middle-of-the-road independent, politically speaking, because I used to vote for whoever I thought was going to do the best job, Democrat, Republican, and I wasn't really into the politics of everything. It's more about, I'd see a candidate and be like, I like your ideas and I like what you're going to do, and then, you got my vote. And then it wasn't until the Obama years where I started digging into it a little bit, and then it started to be like, why are all these things happening to my gas prices and food prices, and why is my, this so high? And started digging into it, and I started digging into the economy and politics and exactly what's going on and why stuff happens. And then it just slowly moved me to the Republican side more and more. And the more I found out, the more I didn't like the Democrats at all. And I've just moved that direction.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very cool because, and that's part of that is typical. That's why I was asking about your age, because one of the things that happens, as we get older, most of us get intelligent and we kind of fall in line with conservative ideas. I think producer Hannah is one of and there are some exceptions. Hannah, I've been knowing Hannah since she was 15 years old, largely conservative since the day I met Hannah at the age of 15. But you start, as we age and we get some wisdom, and about in our 30s, we start to pay attention and go, what the hell have I been voting for? Why have I been voting for Democrats over the years? Because you get wisdom, and that's something that a lot of these progressives apparently don't get. Anything else that you would like to add, Joshua, before we let you go?
I just keep doing what you're doing, that's for sure. I'm really hoping this whole investigation into the federal government yields some fruit, and we can replace some people that need replacing.
I like it. Replace some people that needs replacing. Marsh, Joshua's one of our winners of the week. We'll do it at 8:35. We appreciate you, man. If there's anything that we can do for you, you feel free to give us, any one of us, a call here on the show, and we'll see what we can do to help you out, okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. How cool is that? New listener, and really no compliments in there either. He really didn't compliment.
Are you disappointed?
Coming up just a few minutes from now, why were some women throwing down following a
points, then NASDAQ down 77, S&P 500 down 29.
We'll look at your futures coming up 8:25. Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news, little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you. And while we're kind of on this theme of finance and stuff like that, by the way, the Dow had been on a win streak for several weeks. Was chatting with somebody yesterday who said, yeah, I'm doing all right. Over the past few weeks, now over the past few years, not shaking out so well. But coming up a little bit after 7 o'clock, some simple budgeting tricks that Gen Z is calling a brand new craze, except it's not a brand new craze, except it works. And it's really simple. We'll do that for you a little bit after 7 o'clock. Some other things we're working on for you. The end is near for Trump. Again, last night, following the announcement of new indictments. Think about this. Explosive day at the White House for the Bidens on Wednesday. I really doubt the timing of the announcement of these new indictments on Trump. But these are pretty explicit, saying Trump did a very specific thing here as it relates to the documents at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, they're talking about how he directed potentially one of his staff members to delete the security cam footage. And then also we all heard the clip of him like bragging about whatever document that was. And so they added two counts or allegations related to those two incidents.
Quick note, listener Sean, 874-9390. Hannah had an interesting story. Democratic congressman from Texas, his name is Greg Casar, went on a water strike, went on a thirst strike because he wants laws to say, listen, you should get a break if you're at work in the heat. I would hope that you shouldn't have to have a law for that. But apparently you would hope you don't have to lock up the toilet paper at work. But you do. How come? Because it's been an issue. So
yeah, we leave boxes of little airline shooters laying around.
Yeah, and those mysteriously disappear, and
one at a time.
But this dude went on a thirst strike. It was pretty impressive.
He made it a whole 8 hours.
Sean says, by the way, he had nurse supervision. And I don't know because I drink a lot of water. Nurse supervision. Is that dangerous to go without water for 8 hours? I mean, if you're just sitting.
I think we need Josh Hawley to intervene, like that whole how to be a man or something. Yeah. This guy needs a lesson.
I'm going to go without water for a few hours. Can we get some medical experts in the house?
Well, and he got major applause.
Yeah, that people were like the crowd, and the crowd goes wild. Is what
did he spend the whole 8 hours indoors or outdoors in the triple-digit heat? That probably would be a factor.
Right. Why don't you pick up a chainsaw and go do some tree removal and not drink water for 8 hours? Then I might be impressed. Then I might even clap for you. If you're going to the movies this weekend, Barbie, of course, is big. People taking their kids to that. And then the Oppenheimer movie, huge weekends for the both of them. Some moms at a movie theater going to see Barbie, and apparently after the movie, these women get to brawling and stuff, which I always, and I don't know why I dig it. I don't know why I dig it when chicks fight. John, is that a dude thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I heard even on the weeknights that you better pre-buy your tickets here at Mid-Mo because the Barbie movie's just been basically full. But yeah, apparently there was a kid watching YouTube videos during the whole thing, which that's annoying. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's just as bad as somebody talking in a movie theater. So when the movie... Now, maybe if you would have done it before, maybe you would have solved the issue. But then apparently after the movie, one of the moms goes up to the other mom and kind of slugs her. And meanwhile, I think for Losers of the Week, when we do Winners and Losers 8:35 this morning, CBS did a story on the Barbie dream house. I'm not kidding. They did a story, and it was serious in tone. Barbie's dream house has to be redesigned.
Why?
Climate change. I'm serious.
What?
I'm serious. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, story, CBS.
She's got an electric Corvette, though.
Coming up. context is so important.
I don't know if context helps.
Yeah, it's not really
No?
better.
No.
Like, there's so many different ways you could have described that. So many.
The context there was Alex Rodriguez, who likely, despite the fact he was put up some of the gaudiest stats of all time, may not get into the Hall of Fame because, the whole steroids allegations. He's given batting practice tips on ESPN.
So in batting practice, I'm coming at the ball from here, posture up, and right down. You can't get in trouble. It's like you're punching a little person.
And he can say that, yet people are just fired up over what Nancy Mace said.
Oh, Nancy Mace. My goodness, we should do this at 7:35. Nancy Mace is speaking. She's the congresswoman from South Carolina. Now, she got I don't want to say that her name became a well-respected name in politics because Trump didn't endorse her. She's like, that's all right, I'm going to win anyway. And she did. And that's how people know her. She was speaking at a prayer breakfast for presidential candidate Tim Scott. Whoops. We'll do that.
Gosh.
7:35. Well, it's worth it. I promise. Be here. And if somebody who doesn't listen to Wake Up Mid-Missouri, say, listen, whatever your thoughts are on News Talk Radio or Wake Up Mid-Missouri, make sure you're listening at 7:35, and you will hear what Nancy Mace said at this prayer breakfast yesterday.
Yeah, her husband was winner of the week.
Welcome into the show. I am Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. John Marsh is here.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Brian Houseworth.
Pleasure, sir.
That's producer Hannah.
Hey.
We all do we sound thrilled this morning here on a Feel Good Friday? Listen here,
it's hot.
It's hot, and it's
very, very hot, miserable.
These temperatures make me want to say bad words.
Yeah, it's
bad.
It's not fun, and I feel bad for county fairs that are going on and things like that. We were talking, these kids, their one time of the year they get to go and show their bovine and their pigs and all that stuff, and people aren't going, people aren't spending money because it's too hot for folks to go to a lot of these fairs.
I think earlier in the week I described it as soupy. I think we've upgraded officially to swampy. It's just, you walk outside, it's gross.
Yeah, and it's at the point where the OSHA even has gotten involved, and they're reminding not just employers but employees as well about water, heat, water, shade, and taking breaks. Basically, that's extremely important. But got to stay hydrated.
The term for pigs that you were looking for is swine.
Swine? Did I say bovine? Swine. Pork.
Well, I mean, bovine is still right, but it just...
Hogs.
But next week is the Cole County Fair, and there's some acts that I really want to see, and so it needs to cool down so I can go to my concert.
Right now, we're looking basically at about a week of this. I don't see any break, and I've been staying in touch with John Ross and Chance Scotch, both of them at our news partner ABC 17 and the National Weather Service. Basically, we're looking at a heat index approaching 110 in Jefferson City and Columbia today. Slight chance of some severe weather tomorrow in Columbia and Jeff City. If it is gusty winds and hail, not much of a tornado threat, but it's just miserable.
Marissa on the Wake Up Facebook page says that she took off work yesterday to sit outside and watch her daughter play softball. She says that is love.
Or insanity. One of the two.
Yeah.
And so you have county fairs and then big athletic events. And if people aren't out, spending money, hotels and restaurants, too hot to go and do this stuff. So Sunday, it looks to be at least 10 degrees cooler by the time we get to Sunday, maybe Monday, but then we kind of heat up again next week. So a little bit of relief coming.
There was a movie, I'd use the term misery, but there was a movie years ago called Misery. I don't know if people remember it with Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
She played just kind of a...
James Caan was an author. Crashes. She happens to be a super fan, and he's stranded at her house, and she tortures him incessantly.
It was an incredible movie, but when I think of this heat, I think of Misery, and of course that movie comes to mind. But yeah, she won an Academy Award, and rightfully so.
Trump yesterday, an announcement of new indictments. I'll put on my foil hat, and the timing's highly suspicious after what happened with the Bidens on Wednesday and that whole thing blowing up in their face. I find it oddly suspicious that then, the day after, let's announce some new charges against Trump, but these have to do with some very specific allegations.
Yeah, the allegations are that he actually directed some of his staff to get rid of the surveillance footage at Mar-a-Lago around the time of when they first raided, and then also all of that audio that we heard, now it's been a month or more ago, where he was bragging to people about having a classified document.
Apparently showing people stuff. So I think the timing is highly suspicious. And again, they continue to go after him. And I'll go back to, at this point, it looks like, both things could be true. Because, listen, if we're going to say the same thing, if we come on every morning and say everything keeps pointing to Joe Biden was apparently, as vice president of the United States, everything is pointing to he was taking money for this stuff, for political favors, for countries that want to do us harm, then don't we have to say the same thing about this stuff? Yeah, maybe there's some stuff there. But what's hilarious is we're talking about whistleblowers, and we do the comparisons, because last night the progressive TV stations, they went insane. Here was one of the takes. This is from NBC.
That's probably the final nail in the coffin on this one.
Have we heard that before, John?
They got a lot of nails, don't they?
This is for real. The walls are closing in. This is last night. It's like, yep, this is the nail in the coffin.
And he's 30 or 40 points up right now in the GOP primary, by the way.
And I'll bet a week's worth of Hannah's salary won't improve his standings in the polls, nor will it detract from his standings right now in the polls.
I don't think so. But hey, the Gary Nolan listeners apparently were right, because you know who is picking up a whole bunch of points? Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
He's way past Pence in third, I think, and picking it up.
Yeah. And then this from CNN. This was interesting.
As one said, the mother of all speaking indictments.
This is the mother.
It's the end.
The granddaddy.
Yeah. 874-9390. Want to get to how the news outlets covered whistleblowers in 2019 compared to how they're covering whistleblowers today. But first, we want to check in Boonville. Scott is in Boonville talking about the heat. What's up, bud?
Hey, good morning. I was listening to people talk about the weather and get all apoplectic about how hot it is. Mm-hmm. So I did some checking, and the record high temperature for Cooper County, and they've been keeping records since 1893, the record high temperature is 110, and that has happened 4 times. Mm-hmm. The last time was 1990-something. So I don't think we're in global warming yet. But I would submit to you, if you want to check out weather records, don't mess with America, because we're just children. Check out Europe's weather records and China's weather records, and I think you're going to see that this is a phenomenon called summer.
Yep. As a matter of fact, hey, Scott, we appreciate you. But before we let you go, what are you grateful for? What are you feeling good about on a Feel Good Friday?
Oh, you know what I'm grateful for is a lot of people have to go to work, and I get to go to a job that I absolutely love. I've been doing it for the last 28 years, and every morning when I get in my car and drive to work, I am just grateful that I get to work where I do.
Can you tell us what it is that you do for a living?
I am a chaplain at Boonville Valley Hope.
Scott,
for you.
It is really good to hear from you, and I appreciate you sharing that. Wow.
You are very welcome.
I appreciate you, man. How cool is that? I agree with that. I don't know. If I had a job, I don't know what I would do. I'm very blessed. I don't know. Hannah, if I had to work, if I had a job, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, your boss doesn't know either.
I really appreciate his thoughts on the being grateful and stuff. But I want to make one point about what he said about the weather. We're not saying that I'm not comparing, at least myself, what's happened in 1990. What's more important is what is happening today, tomorrow, and this week. Yeah. Bottom line, these are dangerous conditions. It has nothing to do with global warming or whatever, but you can't underestimate what is happening. It's hot and miserable, and it's dangerous. And if you know elderly people or you know some people that have special needs, you've got to take it very serious. I'm not sure what the gentleman's referring to.
Well,
maybe he's supposed to have some callers.
And I don't think he's referring to us. I think he's referring to like mainstream media, because I saw a headline today. It's the hottest July ever recorded in history or something.
Yeah,
and they're just it's no,
and there has to be there's going to be something. You set a record sometimes
and
it's hot.
Things happen.
It's going to be hot until
but it's
September.
I understand, but it is still dangerous today, and you have to be very careful, and you got to stay hydrated.
You're absolutely right. It's going to be hot until Labor Day weekend when Hannah gets married. So I want to contrast whistleblowers. 2019, this was the mainstream media's, the national news outlets' take on whistleblowers in 2019 when they were going after Trump.
Whistleblower, a true patriot coming forward with the allegations.
But that's why the whistleblower is a hero in many ways.
This whistleblower is a hero.
The whistleblower is a public servant.
The person has been deemed credible and a patriot.
Great courage to do the right thing.
Courage to do the right thing. Whistleblowers in 2023 going after the Bidens?
So-called whistleblower on the Biden family.
Wow.
Welcome back to so-called whistleblower. From the so-called whistleblowers.
See, so-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
You get the point?
Did they text that phrase out early in the morning?
They get together, John, every morning. So when John and I get here, and then Hannah gets in, Steph's here, Houseworth is here every morning before we're doing that. Marsh, you know this.
There's a lot of whistleblowers now, looking at UFOs even.
Yeah, and they're not credible. In 2019, we loved whistleblowers.
They're patriots.
They're patriots. We are with you spiritually. You're to be lauded. 2023, not so much. So that is one of those things that we want you to share. See, that's the hypocrisy of the news outlets. It's run by progressive liberal Democrats. Coming up, we're going to be doing What's Hot with Hannah on a Feel Good Friday.
I got more weird food news.
All right, love talking about food. Also, 25-ish, which means it's
actually 7:25.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
What's hot with Hannah is the sidewalks outside, the sun, your car seat belt when you get back in the car after it's been sitting for a while.
Steering wheel.
Yeah.
Pavement. If you lay down and take a nap on the sidewalk there in downtown Jeff City, it can be kind of hot too.
Yeah, a little toasty. Something else that's toasty, sub sandwiches. You see my transition there?
I got it. You get it. I'll give you 2 points.
Yeah, one of my most favoritist things to cover in What's Hot with Hannah is weird food things, and fast food chains always like to try to one-up each other when it comes to their promotions or their products they're offering. You know, Burger King in Thailand is doing a sandwich with just a bun and 20 slices of American cheese, which is weird. But here in the States, Subway is doing something weird. It doesn't involve any of their food, but the Subway chain is running a promotion, and you could potentially win a lifetime of sub sandwiches. You just have to legally change your name to Subway. But here's the kicker. That doesn't guarantee that you win, right? It's like a sweepstakes.
That just gets you into the ballpark. You may not see them hit a home run. That's just getting you in.
So I'm wondering, you go through all the headache of legally changing your name to Subway, and then you don't win the lifetime of sub sandwiches, but yet you're stuck with the name Subway for the rest of your life.
And honestly, who would want a lifetime of sandwiches?
Oh, I forgot that Stephanie's a party pooper.
I don't like sandwiches.
They're so versatile, though. You can
Didn't
put
they do a
anything on
thing
sandwich.
once with tattoos for Subway? If you got Subway's logo tattooed on you, you got...
I think there's been various businesses over the years that have said, hey, if you get a tattoo on your forehead with our company logo on it, we'll give you $50,000 or something. And
in addition to the lifetime of subs, though, they're going to pay the legal fees it took to get your name changed, but only for the winner, not for anybody else that entered. And it has to be between August 1st and August 4th. So it has to be in that window.
Too many rules.
And that's What's Hot with Hannah this morning here on Wake. I don't know what it would take to do something like that. Certainly wouldn't be for a lifetime supply of food. When they say lifetime supply, I mean, are they talking like, we'll feed you once a week, here's a card, you come in and redeem it?
Is there a restaurant, though, that you would do something outlandish for if it meant you got a lifetime supply?
Define outlandish. Probably not.
Wouldn't legally change your name?
No.
You don't go by your legal name anyways,
I know.
though.
Well, yeah, and there was a point in time when my first name is Henry, and I went by Henry like in the first grade, and then I quit doing that because kids made fun of me because, kids are kids. It's what they do.
What's funny about Henry?
I don't know. It just wasn't cool. And then
I feel like Henry's really popular right now.
It is now, I think. And so for years, kids knew me as Branden, but once in a while, if somebody would find out, like whenever you did the California Achievement Test, John, whenever you had to fill in all the little circles, the test would come pre-printed, like from the Missouri Department of Education. Mm-hmm. So the teacher would say, Bell, Stephanie Bell, Hannah, producer Hannah, Marsha, Rathert, Henry? Who's it? Because the teacher would go, I don't even know who. And then I would have to.
She doesn't even go here.
And then I'd have to raise my
I'm
hand.
Henry.
Yeah.
All embarrassed.
And then I was walking home from Scruggs Elementary School, South St. Louis on Grand Boulevard, and the kids go, Henry, come slop them hogs. They would tease me about my name, Henry. And for my 12th birthday one year, I asked my parents for a legal name change. And my mom said, why don't you wait until you're 18? And I said, okay, I'll do it when I'm 18. And guess what I did when I was 18? I didn't do it. Coming up just a few minutes from now, what Nancy May said. Go, 3, 2, 1. What's up? I'm Branden Rathert along with producer Hannah and Stephanie Bell.
Is tomorrow Wednesday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday. All right, let's start that over.
Okay. A little behind the scenes stuff from Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Our Biden moment, see? Fair and balanced, man. It's not just about criticizing the president. It's, we go after.
Sometimes I forget what day it is, too.
And we are glad you are back today. Stephanie Bell is here.
Good morning.
Man, I'd hate to know how much blooper reel you have from our daily promo recordings, because it's a struggle sometimes.
Oh, I got more.
Also, a new America-themed theme park in the...
How have ratings been at Fox News since they switched up their programming lineup?
Some of the things we're covering for you on Thursday's show, and you can watch on YouTube, or we could just do the whole thing.
I'm trying to be more fun, but it's hard for me.
Hello, I'm Branden Rathert along with producer Hannah and Stephanie Bell.
Okay, do that again. I got it. Hold on. Okay, I got it. Okay, hold on. I need to write this down. Hold on. Okay, got it. Okay, let's go.
I just want to do whatever works.
Oh, you want to do that instead? Big Disneyland park, park coming. I love that, Hannah. How about we do what works? And to me, that's a brilliant concept. I'm like, I had to stop. Hannah, I said to Steph, I think Hannah's onto something. Let's just do what works.
It's so frustrating because we talk for 3 hours and then all we need is 20 seconds and it's so hard.
Well, and I feel like if the crew hasn't been together for a couple days, we almost get out of practice.
Where were you yesterday?
I went to a conference. It was sponsored by the Missouri Chamber of Commerce. Branden is going to register for this next year, I'm pretty sure, because it was the Women in Leadership Conference. And so there were hundreds of women at this conference, and it was quite...
I knew most of them, too.
He could expand the roster.
It was...
It's not true. We're kidding.
I guess they hosted it in Columbia last year. It was in Herman yesterday. They're doing it in Excelsior Springs over at the Elms next year. But just kind of a one-day get-together of women in business across Missouri. So I learned a lot. And yeah, I mean, I was inspired. Great speakers, and just like how women sometimes face different things in the workplace, and how you can grow as a leader, and how you can have one of the sessions that I really liked was how to have difficult conversations at work. And
you see, if you're watching the show, you'd see Hannah and I were both like, sounds like something's coming.
But I mean, and I think, sometimes I think it's sometimes hard for all of us, right? A lot of people they want to avoid it, or they don't want to,
it's uncomfortable.
Confront people. And so talking through, how you, stand up for yourself in a respectful way, I think is important, or, how sometimes having that difficult conversation actually is better in the long run to go ahead and have it. So I think just hearing other people's experiences and how they've handled those situations was really helpful for me.
And I've had that experience, like, man, stuff gets really bad, but then you talk and you hash it out, and then you look back and you go, man, that was probably one of the best things that could have ever happened in whatever that situation is.
Real quick, we got a text from Wake Up family member Casey at 874-9390. And we were talking last segment about the Burger King cheese sandwich that is literally 20 slices of American cheese on a bun. Casey says that his son lives in Thailand and cheese is a delicacy over there and it's very expensive.
Huh.
How about that?
Who'da thunk?
Sam says, bad news, it's hot. Good news, it's casual Friday at my office on a feel-good Friday. Better news, I'm wearing my Daisy Dukes and halter tops. Sam, and he said he's going to...
Is this a dude Sam or a girl Sam?
That kind of changes the context of the whole story, actually, doesn't it? 874-9390. And then big concert show last night in mid-Missouri.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about at the conference yesterday was how to, self-care to keep yourself doing well at work. And, people say counseling, massages, and I agree with those. But for me, self-care is live music all the time. I think we should reclassify concerts as self-care. And so, yeah, a big concert. Matt Stell was at the Blue Note last night. I hadn't really heard a whole lot of his songs before. Saw our friends Liz and Scotty from Clear 99 over there, and saw the Clear van out in front when I showed up, and he was great. He was amazing, and it's just so neat to be able to, like, in mid-Missouri, see really great live music.
Is it Sarah Evans, who's from Boonville? She was supposed to be doing Gasconade County Fair, I think, tomorrow night. And I wanted to go see that because we talk about supporting local. I wanted to support Sarah. Love some of her stuff, but apparently she's got laryngitis. She's had to cancel.
And actually, Matt Stell actually went to college here in Missouri. He went to Drury in Springfield, and he played basketball for 4 years on a scholarship.
How about that?
So it's kind of him coming home.
It was really neat. And yeah, there was Chris Bandy was another artist that moved to Nashville but actually grew up in St. Louis. He opened for Matt Stell, so it had a lot of nice things to say about Missouri.
And we're wearing red today. If you're watching the show on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, go to YouTube, Wake Up Mid-Mo. You see we all wear red, and we do that just to remember, we still have service members deployed, and we just want to, that's kind of just one way we like to acknowledge that. And this yesterday after Korean War veterans were honored in the Capitol. And Jeff.
Listener Sam texted us back. Halter Top Sam said, it's Dude Sam.
Thank you for
and he said, and no, dude, don't look like a lady.
I want to do this really quick before I want to get to Nancy Mace, much respected Congresswoman, South Carolina, what she said at a prayer breakfast yesterday for presidential candidate Tim Scott. But some recent history had been made as it comes to the entertainment industry. Stephanie had highlighted a couple of weeks ago is one of the first time in like 40 years that the two songs on the top 40 chart were country songs.
Yeah, it was Luke Combs' Fast Car and Morgan Wallen's Last Night. And yeah, it was since Dolly Parton and
Eddie Rabbitt.
Yes.
I Love a Rainy Night and Dolly Parton's 9 to 5.
Yeah,
back in the early 80s. And I'm like, I don't know that song Last Night by Morgan Wallen. And I'm like, and then I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, I do know that song. Last night we in country music airplay has been number one. Well, now it's got the R&B treatment. Somebody went and R&B'd it like rhythm and blues. And I kind of dig it. Steph, I know you're a huge Morgan Wallen fan. Had the number one selling album of 2022.
I cried at his concert. It was so good. It was so good.
Really?
Yeah, because he got canceled and his show got canceled that I was supposed to go to. And so I had to wait like 2 years. And I thought, there were times I thought I would never see the dude in concert. And so it was really a moment.
Here's the R&B version.
Okay, I'm ready.
Last night, we let the liquor talk and remember everything we said.
I like it.
Said it all.
I actually like it better than the original.
Blasphemy.
I think it's really good. Welcome into the show. 874-9390. If you'd like, if there's something we can do for you via text.
Speaking of Dolly Parton, did you see that she released a cover of a song this week? She covered We Are the Champions, and it's like a We Will Rock You kind of mashup. Here it is.
Yeah, I agree with Steph. Not in her lane.
Yeah, that's
prayer
reaching.
Yeah, it's reaching a little bit. Nancy Mace. Tim Scott, who I think would be a fine president. Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Trump, DeSantis, Burgum. Strike that, Doug Burgum.
Just like Branden Rathert, America's got a roster.
Oh, man.
So Nancy Mace is going to this prayer breakfast.
She does not have a roster.
And every year we go and we do the governor's prayer breakfast.
Again, prayer breakfast. Prayer.
Nancy Mace.
And when I woke up this morning at 7, I was getting picked up at 7:45. Patrick, my fiance, tried to pull me by my waist over this morning in bed. And I was like, no, baby, we don't got time for that this morning. I got to get to the prayer breakfast. And I got to be on time. And a little TMI. But he can wait. I'll see him later tonight. But
oh, scandalous. They're not married. They were in the same bed, and then she showed up to the prayer breakfast. Scandalous.
And told several hundred attendees at the prayer breakfast. Now, I'm a dude. And so, John, I'm going to defer to the girls here on the show. Is the implication there what I think it is? What the fiance, like,
Yes.
Hey, baby, come on.
He just wanted a back rub.
Oh, it's just like that is the wrong place for.
Hey, give her credit. She didn't fall off the stage, so it's all good.
There we go.
That's true.
John, when you MC the governor's prayer breakfast next year, pro tip, speaking from experience, maybe don't get up and, although I appreciate the fact she's talking about it, it's real stuff, but maybe a prayer breakfast, I don't know, because you can kind of see it, can't you? Hey, baby, come on, man. All right, coming up, some tips when it comes to budgeting, and there's this new, I guess, kind of almost a trick that younger folks are saying. Hey, we have found this new idea, and it's pretty cool. We'll share that with you. And by the way, these tips we're going to share with you, pretty cool, pretty easy. 8:35 winners.
500 down 29.
First time it had been down in a while. We'll take a look at your futures coming up 8:25 with the Morning Bell.
And I think we might have to give people some budgeting advice since we keep talking about giving them budgeting advice, Brandon.
Loser of the week.
We haven't gotten. I want to hear your budgeting advice, Brandon.
Spend less than you make. That's the big budgeting advice been talking about all morning. Welcome to the show.
Seriously? That's it?
No, there's a couple different.
Yeah, and there's some interesting. There's an interesting education savings program. Actually, I think out of California, but you'd be surprised at what happens when you give kindergartners $50.
That was the chair, by the way.
Uh-huh. Replicate the noise. Let's hear it.
Have you been eating that cheeseburger? Yeah, no.
Doesn't sound the same.
No.
Keep going, Steph.
No. So you'd be really surprised if, so what program was this? It was California, San Francisco. They gave all the kindergartners $50. Nope. Sorry. We're going to have to run that back.
Don't put a hole in the carpet.
So budgeting tips. Yeah. So the kindergartners, they got some money. How do they do when they learn? When you start learning to save,
you're going to have to listen to the Morning Bell to find out.
Oh yeah, it's at 8:25. Meanwhile, and what about the tips for that? This Gen Z is apparently picking up something that a lot of folks have known for a long time. They say it's a new thing. Stuffing as it relates to budgeting.
Yes.
Are we doing that at 8:25?
We can do that now.
All right, let's do it now. We're on a roll. Feel Good Friday. Hope you have a better day than this. So
people are stealing the old Dave Ramsey idea, and they're saying, "Oh, you just put your cash in envelopes, and that'll help you spend less money." Because literally, you don't have if you run out, then you can't. They're saying don't use cards.
And I wonder if that works anymore. And I don't know how you use cash, John. I have typically very little cash. It's the debit card. It's the debit card. But Dave Ramsey, who's here on Sundays, by the way, on the radio station, that's where I learned about it from. I've never utilized it, but your envelopes, like this is gas money, groceries.
Yeah, and cash money.
Yeah.
And you put it in the envelope, and you, I guess, have these different envelopes, and then...
And it hurts worse when you have to actually physically, count the 20s out or whatever. And you're like, it just hurts a little bit more when you see the actual dollar bills leaving your envelope.
I hate cash. And one of the reasons is because if you're in line at the grocery store, you pay with cash, and you get your change back, and you're like desperately trying to cram it back into your wallet, and the person behind you is trying to go ahead and put their stuff on the belt, and it's just for someone with social anxiety, it really stresses me out.
Well, it gives me anxiety because people in your generation who are running the cash register can't count, and so I'm always worried whether I'm going to get the correct change back is one of the things that I'm worried about. But also, like last night at the concert, a lot of places are cashless, and so right now that's making that envelope system really would be very difficult because I know a lot of places are just saying, yeah, we don't take cash. Angry at my didn't see comment. People math is hard.
I worked in a bank, so I don't take offense to it. I can do it.
Sean says the envelope method dates back far before Dave was even a gleam in his father's eye. And then Jack Beard has an idea on the stock market and how it's been performing. I want to share this with you. First, Aaron Hedlund, much respected economist at Mizzou, does a lot of stuff with the Show Me Institute. We like it when he's on the show because he can talk about the economy, but he explains it to us like we're 2 years old.
Yes.
So I was checking with him yesterday. I'm like, so what's been going on with the stocks? They've been on a winning streak, the longest winning streak in quite some time. Mr. Hedlund says nothing blockbuster, but the economic data indicators have mostly been decent, not robust, but not particularly recessionary. From the market's perspective, anything that indicates the Fed may stop its rate hiking campaign soon is something that's welcome, and the inflation data was good. Though not particularly surprising or predictive of the future. That's from economist Aaron Hedlund. Jack's take via text, 874-9390. Stephanie took yesterday off and the Dow fell.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidence. That's Jack's reasoning.
I wish I had that kind of power.
874-9390, 874-9390. Feel Good Friday. We are wearing red. Remember, everyone deployed. And I don't know if you heard what happened. So earlier this week, and I think we got to cover the older politicians. I shouldn't say older politicians, not going after old people, but people that need to realize or surround themselves with people in their inner circle that will say, hey, Mitch, hey, Joe, hey, Miss Feinstein, it's time to go. Got to do that.
That was terrifying. Yeah. I missed the live version of the Mitch McConnell thing and watched it back later, and it was Scary.
Yeah, it was crazy. By the way, his office just put out a statement within the past 30 minutes because folks are saying, oh, he's got to resign. He said, no, he's going to fill out his term as the Senate Minority Leader. And then what Dianne Feinstein, I don't know if you heard what she did yet, but she must have seen what Mitch McConnell did. And she said, hold my glass of Ensure and watch this. And we have the audio that we're going to be doing a little bit
Her
after.
people were trying to help her.
Yeah, they were trying to help us. So I think that's something we got to cover. But winners and losers of the week, we only have one rule when it comes to winners and losers of the week. When you make your nominations, which you can do on the Facebook post, on our Wake Up Mid-Mo Facebook page, or you can do by sending us a text, 874-9390.
Now, the rule is no nominating Biden, but should we specify that it's Joe Biden? Can we nominate Hunter?
Which Biden are we talking about?
What about the dog?
Right.
You want to nominate Major or Sarge or Commander or any of the dogs. And if you have something local, I think we really dig this stuff from mid-Missouri, especially for winners. If you have something like that, please get those texts to us. Try to cover that for you at 8:35 on a Feel Good Friday. Good morning.
what is happening.
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, news director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you. Get ready, pal.
And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
I can't wait.
Let me ask you, because Houseworth is as a news director, I know you're always big on context. Do I need to add context to those comments there, or does it even make it better if we add the context?
I did not hear the to be honest.
It was Alex. It was A-Rod.
The A-Rod thing, talking about the.
Yeah, here you go.
It's like you're punching a little person with your right hand. It's going boom.
You would need context for that.
But does the John, even if we add context, does that soften it up? It's A-Rod. He's on ESPN giving batting tips, and he's trying to explain. And so you punch
there are
down on
so
him.
many other ways to describe that action that would.
Yeah, and just punching a person in general seems
He said a little person. He didn't say J-Lo or anything like that. So, yeah, context.
Man.
Welcome to the show, Feel Good Friday edition of Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Stephanie Bell is back and going to have a preview. She's performing over the weekend. Sunday, you got the stat line from her last softball game, Houseworth?
I do not.
All right.
I'm going to have to watch those A-Rod batting tips.
Stephanie, here's what you do. You just punched it like you're punching a little person, like you're punching Amelia. like you're punching one of your three kids. God.
They were so cute. They were out last week, and Drew even came out kind of in the outfield and stood, and he's like, I'll help you, Mom.
That's awesome.
Brian and Marsh will have sports and see how Stephanie performed over the weekend. There's Mr. Brian Houseworth.
It's good to see you, and just stay hydrated, everyone.
There's John Marsh.
Stephanie Bell, the Shohei Ohtani of Ashland.
If any of our Ashland family members are listening right now, and you know the name of the adult softball team that Stephanie is on, please text us at 874-9390 because she won't tell me. And her husband got told that he wasn't supposed to tell us.
And her husband got a text from Mr. Rathert saying, dude, what team is she on?
And I said, lie through your teeth.
And you know how he responded? He didn't.
Smart man.
874-9390, 874-9394. We get into what Feinstein did yesterday, man. And this is, listen, something seriously needs to be done. There's a lot of people. It's not just Feinstein or Biden. I think, obviously, what we saw with Mitch this week, and even prior to this week, it's like, these people, you need to surround yourself with some people in your inner circle that will be honest with you. That's one of the things I'm grateful for. Some of the members here on the show, they could be honest with me from time. I'll even go to Hannah and say, Hannah, was I a little too cranky? Or Hannah, was I being a little too sensitive? And I will, and I'll ask, and I appreciate the positive insight or a personal insight, and I'll listen. But these people, they ain't listening.
But you're saying that about yourself, and what you're saying is, even if you didn't ask Hannah, was I being cranky, it'd be up to Hannah to be like, you know what, Branden? Like, this last week, you've been acting kind of out of sorts.
No, I don't want her to do that.
No,
only when I
you
ask.
do.
I don't want unsolicited guidance.
And I think that was what was scary about Mitch McConnell was he, it was really frightening. It took people, I felt like it took too long for people to actually come up to him and be like, is this okay?
That's right.
And so you just hope that, like, I hope that if I was ever suffering from some physical or mental, problems, that I would have someone in my life who'd be like, we got to go get this checked out.
You know what? And that's interesting. I'm being serious here because there are some things when it comes, let's say, to somebody's health. Like my dad, man, he smokes cigarettes, and I wish he wouldn't. He's 73 years old. I've been asking him to quit since I was 5 years old. You know what? He's not going to do it. That's a health issue. But for example, like drinking too much, health issue. People, they'll say, hey, man, you got to knock this off. But there's some people with some health issues, you don't say anything because it's not polite. But it's a health issue,
yeah,
right?
My dad has been known to smoke in his life, and I think he said I think my mom repeated that he had a doctor at some point. He said, "Hey, man, I can fix your blood pressure or your heart, but I can't fix stupid," or something like that. And said there's some personal responsibility. You got to try to take care of it yourself. But yeah, I mean, there are things you can't say, and in politics, it's like, I think we talk about Eric Greitens and we talk about all he cared about was himself, and in some instances, you want people to put the party and you want people to put winning over their ego. But in other circumstances, these are people, this is someone's grandma or grandpa. These are actual people. And in some instances, I think people are putting party over the actual person and saying, we're going to elect people who have a personal issue and they really shouldn't be in politics because we are so concerned about winning that it's winning over this individual's actual health.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really bad space to be in.
And look at the comments, and it's not just McConnell. When Fetterman's had his health issues, I've seen some people on the right, but some of the people on the left said some really bad. I saw one person specifically write karma when McConnell had his episode the other day. But Stephanie brings up a great point. It took way too long for Barrasso and the other senators. They should have taken him to the hospital. That looked to me, I'm no doctor, that looked to me like a TIA. That looked to me like he was trying to have a mini stroke, and if nothing else, he should have been and also, I don't think when they were trying to walk him out, he looked like he was going to go in the wrong direction. Maybe he was dehydrated. I don't know, but those things can happen to anybody of any age. I don't necessarily think it's an age issue, although maybe it could happen to anybody.
But he came back in like 10 minutes, didn't he?
He did, and he sounded fine, but I would still get that checked out. That was scary.
So when we talk about the issue with the guy who's sitting in the Oval Office right now, it's not because we're wanting to just criticize a Democrat. It's because the safety, the well-being of our country, and then you specifically and you personally, that's at stake. And it's not because of Joe's age. It's because he lacks the mental capacity to do the job. And you can see it on a daily basis. Senator Dianne Feinstein, some kind of committee vote. She was the same one earlier this year, like she was out for 2 months with the shingles, and somebody said, hey, listen, we get it. You got to take some time, but there comes a point in time. And if I were a grandchild watching Grandpa Mitch or Grandma Diane on the TV, and I were a grandchild, I'd be like, my gosh, where are the adults in the room telling these people, you know what? It's time for you to step aside. I'm thinking about that as a grandchild watching my grandma and grandpapa on the TV. Like, dear God, the adults, please do something.
And they've both been around forever. I mean, they're both getting up there.
Diane is up there.
Diane's been up there for a while.
And Mitch McConnell's not a spring chicken either. He's been there since 1984. But Feinstein, I remember her with Harvey Milk. She goes back to the 70s.
Joe Biden, I think he was elected in office the year after I was born.
72. 1972.
What?
The year after?
No.
Listen.
Yes.
No.
1972 is when he was elected to the U.S. Senate.
John, talk about that perspective. Joe Biden has been in elected office for the better part of my lifetime.
Almost all of it. Almost all of our lifetime. I mean, and that's incredible. He was very, young. He was a senator from Delaware. But, yes, he was elected in 1972. McConnell came in 84. I don't remember. I'd say Feinstein came in the Senate later, but she started in San Francisco.
So Feinstein, she saw Mitch McConnell the other day. She said, well, hold my ensure and watch this. She's in a committee vote, and they're just saying, aye, nay, that's all we need. And she has, what you're going to hear here is stunning. You've got a couple of aides, several of them. Diane, this is what you say.
Senator Feinstein.
Say aye. Pardon me? Aye.
Just say aye. And she's got that vacant look like you see with Joe all the time. She doesn't. You watch that video. she doesn't. It's like, where am I? What day of the week is it?
Yeah. I would like to support a yes vote on this, and it funds priorities submitted.
And you hear the aides in the background. Diane, just say aye.
Which I can relate to that.
I can too, actually. I see I know my people in Ashland are probably laughing right now because every once in a while I'm like, can I say something first before? And they're like, no, Stephanie, just vote. And I'm like, but I want to say something.
No, I'm just thinking about sometimes I have to be in Brandon's ear during the show and his headphones going, Brandon, we need to go to commercial break. Brandon, let's go.
It was $400 million, not $400 in the budget. So they're still trying to get her attention. Diane, all you have to do is say aye.
She's like, don't tell me what to do. I'll say whatever I want. That's how you get when you're 95.
Yeah, just say aye. Okay, just aye.
She sounds real mad.
The
too.
sass.
Yeah.
And then she got cranky. Bye. Bye.
Isn't she the oldest elected official in Senate and in the House,
the entire world?
But one thing, she is someone who the left really kind of went after her a little bit last year because she praised, or was it last year, the year before, she praised the way Lindsey Graham handled those hearings on the Supreme Court. So I've seen some progressives on Twitter say that she should step down. The reality is she's going to stay there, I think, till the end of her term. As far as that's the plan.
That's apparently Mitch McConnell announcing today he's going to fulfill his term. 874-9390. 874.
What's Bernie saying?
He's
right up there too.
We haven't heard much out of him since the mittens debacle. Was it from the inauguration or something?
It's from several years ago. He's been out. He's got a book. I love this. He's selling, in effect, like concert tickets. He's doing appearances talking about his latest book about why capitalism sucks. And he's making bank. He's charging like $100. So people that are going, oh yeah, socialism, tell me about why capitalism is so bad. I'm going to pay you $100 to go watch you talk about this. These people just blow my mind. That phone number, if you agree with that line of thinking, 800-662-4357. 800-662 help. Winners and losers. The more localer, the more better. You got somebody local that you'd like to nominate for a winner of the week that we're going to be doing at 8:35. Please get those into us. 874-9390. Get ready for the Morning Bell business news. Little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you.
What happens when you give hundreds of kindergartners $50?
All right, we're going to find out kind of an interesting news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Well, someone pointed out that the stock market was down yesterday because I was gone from the show, and
Thanks
I'm back.
a lot.
Yep, I'm back, and the futures are all in the green this morning, quite significantly. NASDAQ is up almost 1% on the futures. So.
Had been on a pretty significant win streak for several weeks, longest one in a while, falling yesterday, 237 points.
All right, what happens when you give kindergartners $50? Now, I disagree with almost everything California does, but apparently they had this program where they deposited $50 into a bank account for their kindergarten class. And actually other states have adopted this since then because it went pretty well. And you would think, I mean, right now, if I gave my kids $50, they'd spend it all on candy, I think.
Candy and the gumball machine at Woody's in Ashland.
100%. But this went straight into a bank account. And what they found was the 2023 graduating class of this program, the first group to have the account since kindergarten, averaged a balance of $1,422, 28 times the initial deposit. The bank that is watching over this thing said, I think there is a total balance of $15 million in all of these, in all of the accounts for all of the kids. And $10 million of that is deposits by students and their families. And they interviewed a couple of the folks who were doing it, and they just said, we're just not in a position to have college savings. This isn't what it and they said, yeah, like $1,500 isn't a whole lot, but it's something. And they found that like even that little amount for some people changes the equation of whether they decide to go to college or not. And we talked a little bit earlier about Dave Ramsey and how Gen Z is bringing back the cash envelope system. And I do feel like it's kind of a Dave Ramsey type thing because when he tells you to start paying off your debt, you would think, well, the smart like financial planner thing to do would be to find the one with the highest interest rate and pay that off first. And he says, no. Do you know Dave Ramsey's strategy?
The snowball method.
Yeah. And so he says, pick the lowest. Good job. A+.
He was so proud of himself.
John, why is everybody so excited, John?
Yeah, Brandon's just listening to one of our programs.
And so the theory is you actually put it from, I think it's least to highest of the amount that you owe. And that way you can hopefully get a win early and you can pay off something and you kind of get like, warm fuzzies from, oh, I can actually do this. And then you go. And so I'm thinking, like, I feel like if you already had $50 in the account, you're like, oh, okay, like I can put some in there. And, if you're you're going to owe a lot for college, well, I'm starting out with $1,500, which isn't nothing. And so maybe, it's encouraging people to go ahead and not only save some of their own, but that, they can do college. I like this idea.
If I got $50, I would take Marsh to lunch at JJ's Cafe in Centralia, probably. And that's what I would do with $50.
Can you get lunch for $50 anymore these days?
That place closed.
Oh.
See, Brandon put them out of business.
I wish I would have said that before they closed. Maybe they would still be in business.
See?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
Well, according to the internet, says they open, but they close at 2 this afternoon. So the point being, the moral to this story is don't believe everything you...
Is Dine in Ashland.
Or don't believe everything you read.
Leave it to Stephanie to turn it into an opportunity.
Trust me, Woody's is open today.
Or Bill says, how about Brick House Deli for lunch?
Oh, yeah, they have good
In
lunch.
Jefferson City. That's the Morning Bell. Business news, little twist only. Stephanie Bell could do. All right, you got your noms in for
some cocaine, but I personally am not going to make that joke. It's too easy.
John B. Christ, comedian who we like to feature from time to time. I just dig the guy. He's a real nice, just an honest to goodness, real nice guy, touring comedian. And Fox been putting him on the TV there a little bit. Welcome into a Feel Good Friday. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I am Branden Rathert. There's Stephanie Bell. What are you grateful for today? What's got you smiling and got you feeling good about things?
2 things from yesterday. I spent the whole day with a room full of women.
That's what I feel good about, too. Incidentally, I did the
sounds terrible.
I did the same thing. I hung out with a room full of women.
It was great and
Did you have a roster meeting?
It was wonderful. And then I went to the Blue Note last night and saw live music, and live music is my love language. I just love it so much.
Marsh, what about you? What are you excited about today?
How about guardedly optimistic that the Cardinals can stay out of the basement in NL Central?
Man.
Oh, you had to say it out loud, John, didn't you?
I know.
And we
in the midst of a Cubs series.
We're aiming real high, aren't we? We just don't want to finish in last place. We're broadening. We're not lowering expectations. We are broadening our horizons. Crazy game last night. What was it? 1 out. You had Contreras knocked out of the game. He got hit with a bat less than 1 out into this thing. And then you get the pitcher, Miles Michaelis, and then you get the manager.
Him.
Yeah, so then Miles Michaelis plonks the dude, and then the manager. This is all taking place in the very first inning here in Missouri last night.
That's right. And Sports Illustrated this morning used the term, and they're saying the fans were outraged about how Michaelis beamed him. He hit him in the rear. If you're going to get hit, that's the place to do it. It really is, because, if you're going to try to hurt a guy, you throw at his head. That was, the guy even kind of knew that was what was going to happen.
I was so mad at myself because there was a bad pitch in last week's softball game, and I wish I would have just stepped in front of it and could have walked. And I was like, oh, your instinct is to jump out of the way, but I was like, I would have done better.
Well, and the stereotype is that baseball players all have big butts, and so
pretty good, yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay. I'm a little concerned about Michaelis getting hit with that. Not Michaelis, Contreras getting hit with the bat, though. I always worry about head injuries.
So do I. What do you feel good about today?
I am grateful for wonderful health care in mid-Missouri. I have had several things the last couple of weeks, just simple things. And yesterday was in Jefferson City. A lot of it in Columbia as well. We are blessed with the health care that we have in mid-Missouri. Columbia, Jeff said, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm at least very grateful.
That's so good. I told Hannah I probably wasn't going to be here Friday because I had to get my arm amputated.
The right arm, no less.
The right arm, no less. But it's good. I still got it. So I'm exaggerating, as guys will tend to do when it comes to injuries sometimes. Producer Hannah, what's got you smiling today?
I got an exciting weekend. Our wedding festivities are starting.
That's right. We're coming up. Hannah getting married Labor Day weekend in Branson at a theater. If you want ticket info, 874-9390.
Shoji Tabuchi Theater.
Labor Day weekend. Appearing live on the main stage, producer Hannah and her fiance Branden.
Married by an Elvis impersonator.
And for anyone who's confused, yes, my fiance's name is Branden.
With an O-N.
With an O-N, yes.
That's right.
Which Branden came into your life first?
You, Branden.
874-9390.
Why
the OG Branden.
I don't know.
And now for nominees for the winners and losers of the week.
By the way, I'm grateful for the time with my grandkids last week. Thanks for asking.
Amen.
Cuties.
At least you're not bitter about it, right? Jesus.
Cranky.
Maybe he has been hanging out with a bunch of women.
I even texted him. I am cranky. I'm on steroids. My dad said, be careful. I'm going to make you cranky. I'm like,
prescribed.
What? Prescribed. Yeah, prescribed.
Getting pretty cut there, too.
Well, actually, no, he's not.
And my dad said, well, be careful, son. They can make you cranky. I'm like, whatever, Dad. I texted my dad 2 days later. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
There's been a couple days this week I've been a little worried about you.
Yeah. And then yesterday, I texted Hannah and I'm cranky because I can't, no physical exertion. I can't go to the gym or anything. And All right, winners and losers of the week. Houseworth, let's start with you. By the way, we do have a nomination. Some folks involved. There's an event tomorrow in Columbia, black on black crime, violence, and all that. But some folks are saying they're appreciative of your efforts to highlight what is happening tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. And it's a news story we'll continue to cover, and I appreciate Glenn Cobbins and Reverend Ray speaking to me, and the other Tanya Heath as well. I've got two quick ones, Brandon and team. I'm going to nominate for winners of the week Mike Alden, quickly. Mike Alden, the former athletic director, if you've been watching what's happening to the Pac-12, Mike Alden had the foresight, and he's still here in town. I hope he's listening, or Rocky, or both. He got him into the Southeastern Conference. I think it is a big deal.
I ran into Mike and his wife, Rocky. Lovely couple.
Yes.
And they're still heavily involved in various charitable projects here in mid-Missouri. Ran into him at Schnucks on Forum in Columbia a couple weeks ago, and his wife is famous for making these peanut butter balls around Christmas. And so I was bugging her in the grocery store. Like, hey, Rocky, I'll buy the ingredients right now. Meet people.
Great people. And Mike Alden. And my second one is Amanda Peters. For radio people, you'll know the name. Charlie Peters was the longtime, I'll try not to get choked up, he's the longtime chief engineer at Learfield, and he passed away of skin cancer. And his niece, Amanda Peters, has dedicated really her life in Jefferson City to raising awareness about skin cancer. And just, I think she's a saint. But I saw her yesterday for my skin cancer screening, had a few things removed, and I am grateful to her for what she's doing in the community. They're going to have a Miles Against Melanoma in Jeff City, September 30th at Memorial Park.
Marsh, what you got for winners and losers?
I got a couple. How about River City Habitat for Humanity did the first veterans build and gave a home to Dwight Days, an Army veteran in Jefferson City, whose home was destroyed in the 2019 tornadoes. So hats off to them. How about the jet skiers at the lake who helped out the Osage Beach Fire Protection District firefighters, who they had a boat out of control down there going in circles with people on it. The jet skiers ran the firefighters out there so they could rescue the folks. And our last one, depending on where you stand, a winner or a loser, the giant rat in Ashland.
Did you see the rash that thing had? I'd call that a loser.
I think he was, looked like...
He was hurting.
Did you post the pictures? Are those on KWOS.com
Yes.
and 93? Did
Yes,
you post the picture of the rat?
They're on the Facebook, and they're also on our Twitter account. I don't know if I did not. I don't think I put the rat on our website, but I'll tell you, we're getting some comments on our Facebook page from some people that weren't happy with the protest.
I showed someone the picture of it yesterday, and they said, that's going to take an oral and a topical antibiotic. Like,
So,
what's it supposed to be?
See, I'm not sure. And one of the guys wouldn't talk to me out there. The other guy would, but he wouldn't tell me his name.
So here's the thing. A little inside info. This rat, you can see these pictures. This was in Ashland. It's the weirdest thing. Wednesday. Mm-hmm. It's an inflatable rat. And in the crotchal region, he's got some kind of something going on there.
And it's not like, and when you guys told me that, and I thought it was like dirty or like it had an imperfection, it's like, no, it's like printed on it's a part of it.
I think he needed maybe to go to the skin cancer screening with Brian is what he might have needed.
Or a different kind of doctor.
I'll tell you, it was interesting. But it's amazing.
Well, they did feel like they were getting screwed, Stephanie.
There you go.
Hannah.
Our Twitter page, there's a lot of opposition to the protest, but on the Facebook,
it was two dudes with signs and an inflatable rat.
It stirred up a hornet's nest for people at least online. So.
Also, winners yesterday. Wow.
I thought that's why our new listener today that called in, Joshua, I thought that's what he was going to say. He's like, this is the only place that I can hear about giant inflatable rats and giant inflatable colons for that matter.
Giant inflatable rats with interesting rashes. You can see the pictures.
They're on there. I didn't edit them. I mean, they are what they are.
Also, winners of the week.
No, Houseworth did not Photoshop a rash onto the inflatable rat.
And it's the location of the rash. Context, right? It's not like the rat has a rash on his shoulder.
And it's not like, it's the look of the rash. Doesn't look like...
It's angry.
Chicken.
Yeah. You work out in this hot sun on a union crew like that, and you'd be an angry rat, too.
All those Korean War veterans who fought for us. The war
Yes.
came to an end 70 years ago yesterday. Jefferson City inside the Capitol.
Amen.
How cool was that?
I've got 2 winners of the week. The first being in Camden County, there is a 911 dispatcher. Her name is Amy Hufford, and she helped a husband deliver twins over the phone while they were waiting for EMS to arrive to assist in the birth. So she will get to wear a special little stork pin with her dispatch uniform, and she's actually a mother to a set of twins herself, which is kind of extra special.
How cool is that? Houseworth and I last year, we toured the 911 center in Boone County. And the 911 operators, like whenever they help to walk somebody through a childbirth over the 911 phone line, a lot of times they will get cards from these people. Actually, they get cards from a lot of people when they've helped deal with 911 calls, people dealing with trauma, and they post them in the hallways. Pretty cool. Dan, I'm not fishing for compliments here. Can I read Dan's text? It's kind of self-serving, but Dan says, and I'm saying this because John, he's complimenting you and Hannah and Steph and Houseworth. He says, I would like to nominate everyone on the show. Y'all make my day and week. Keep up the great work. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Nice.
The second winner of the week that I had was there's a team of students from Missouri S&T in Rolla, and they've been working on a satellite to go into space since 2016. It was delayed slightly during the whole COVID mess, but it is ready to go, and in February, it's actually going to be launched into space on one of the SpaceX ships. So that's pretty cool.
Have they told Joe Biden? Because he might he's been known to shoot down some science projects before.
Not before they go all the way across the country first, though.
Okay.
Look at what I did. I shot that thing down after it went all the way across our country and went out to the Atlantic Ocean. Losers, anybody in political circles that don't get honest with the people that they are handling, like Joe Biden, like Dianne Feinstein, like Mitch McConnell. Winner of the week, I'm Mitch McConnell for his response after he froze the other day. Joe Biden did call him. I got to give Joe points for that, too, by the way. He called Mitch, and Mitch had some fun with his response.
The president called to check on me. I told him I got a sandbag.
And that was, of course, a reference to tripping over the sandbag, which the president of the United States did on stage for the whole world to see. Coming up, we are going to be doing some leftovers, and in leftovers, we'll include some more winners and losers of the week. So you still have a few minutes before we get into the Gary Nolan show. Somebody else you'd like to nominate for a winner?
Enjoy.
Here's what I have for my leftovers. I got a big old helping of some things for winners and losers of the week that I didn't get a chance to get to before we slide into my dad's favorite show here. My dad's favorite show, Gary Nolan Show, which stars Brian Hansen here on the radio station. Marsh, what you got for leftovers?
Quickly, Colorado leaving the Pac-10, the Big 12 ready to welcome the Buffaloes back a dozen or so years later. Happened in 2024, and we have it on good authority. They are reinstituting the 5-down rule for all Buffalo games.
Oh, the 5th down game. Did I mention, by the way, we were talking about winners and losers of the week? I was going to pick CBS. They did an honest-to-goodness report on TV the other night about Barbie's dream house has to be redesigned because of climate change.
That is ridiculous.
I know, and they did like a whole thing on it. Now, it's summer, and when there's not news happening in the summer, these national news outlets will go to some pretty serious lengths. But I'll hold it if you're watching on our YouTube channel. I'll hold it up so you can see. I'm not making this up, but CBS, they actually did a report. Barbie's dream house needs to be done because of climate change.
Next thing you know, they'll tell us we can't paint it pink for whatever reason, right?
Can you hold that up again, Brandon?
Mm-hmm. Oh, dang it. It's upside down.
Hannah's been playing tricks on Brandon all day.
Which is why we encourage you, seriously, I get it. You're in your car, you drive, and it's not always convenient to watch. But when you're in situations where you can, like you're at home, running around the house in the morning, you can pop us up on your YouTube, put it up on the smart, pop it up on your YouTube channel, and put us up on your smart TV. Everybody running around in the house can get the news, analysis, and opinion. What you got for leftovers, Steph? Yeah, not much.
There's not a lot. I did see all the pictures of the veterans in the Capitol yesterday, and that was really heartwarming. There was a really nice ceremony and celebrating, and it was a full, it's, you know, in the summer they don't do a ton of events in the Capitol, but that whole rotunda floor area was full.
I thought this was interesting. CNN stationed in San Francisco. More and more businesses there, by the way. They're leaving, especially downtown San Francisco, because the city is run by progressives, and they don't believe if you break the law, they don't believe in prosecuting you, and it's just not working for businesses. So they're leaving. So CNN is doing a report.
So typical that in the 30 minutes we were at this Walgreens, we watched 3 people, including this man, steal.
So they're there doing a story, and people they're just walking in and stealing.
You know what they should do? They should get a megaphone, and you should just you should call people out. Have you seen those? My favorite is where they call out compliments to people walking down the road. Like, sir, I can see you. I can see you stealing that item.
Ma'am, you look hot today.
Yeah.
Like that? You just go out to like the Walmart or stand there.
People are like, you look like you're really nice. You look like you pushed the shopping cart back into the shopping cart caddy thing.
I go to hang out at State Tech. Young man, fine job on enrolling for school. Mid-Missouri appreciates you.
My sister said that happened once on a flight, and they were flying to Vegas, and people were pouring their own booze, and they said, you know, you can't have your own booze, quit pouring your own booze on the airplane or whatever. And they finally came over the speaker and they said, ma'am, we can see you. Quit doing, stop doing that. All right. So if you haven't already, you might want to go to your local gas station and pick up a Mega Millions ticket, because somebody did win the Powerball. How much did they win out of California?
Almost $1 billion, something like that.
We're at $910 million right now, ahead of Friday's Mega Millions jackpot winning. So if I'm not here Monday, you know where I went.
Stephanie, she will not have retired. She'll have just quit. If you win the lottery, would you retire? John, would you retire? No.
Never.
I would just quit. I'm not retiring. I'm just not showing up on Monday. You ever see the Eagles in concert?
No.
Yep.
Yeah. How good was that show?